Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this short video I'd like to show you how I made these lovely looking tea lights just out of some old doors. So here is some wood that I salvaged from the side of the road. It's old doors, there's some mahogany exterior doors and some pine interior door pieces. So I started off by cutting down the pieces to make them more manageable with the jigsaw. Here you can see the hardwood mahogany and there is the pine also. So I've got a nice amount of material here to make a nice selection of tea lights. And you can see there's rough edges that will need to be ripped down on the table saw. Here I'm just measuring up to see what kind of width I can get out of these pieces to maximise the material. And I've got a nice new ripping blade in the table saw ready to go. I started off by just cutting off those rough edges and I'm using the clean square edge against the fence. And you can see there's some dowel holes here with some dowels in, which I'll remove later on. So this wood has finish on it. I want to clean up the faces, and for that I'm going to use the planer just to clean up those faces, remove all the finish and make the surfaces nice and smooth. These pieces don't really need squaring up, they're already relatively square and easily square enough for some tea lights. And the wood came out nice and clean and crisp. I checked it with a square to make sure that it is nice and square, and it is. Now I can mark up the lengths that I want to cut. I want to do a selection of different sizes and at the same time maximise the amount of material I have and minimise the wastage. Now I could start to make the cuts on the miter saw. Then I could mark up where I want the tea lights to go. So I'll be drilling some holes in the central areas, and I'm using a combination square to help me to get equal spacing here. And the tea lights will be roughly equally spaced from each other. I could then use an awl just to make the marks where the drill point will go. So to drill the holes I have a 40mm Forstner bit. I've used this before for tea lights and the tea lights fit nicely in there. There's a little bit of movement so they're not too snug. And I'm using the drill press vise here just to help me to keep it nice and steady. I've also got a depth stop set up so that I can drill equal depths for each hole. So now I want to add a round over to all of these tea lights, and for that I'm using the palm router. I rounded over the top, bottom and sides. Before I go any further, I just wanted to fill in a couple of small holes that the wood had. There's not too many though. Then I could go on to sanding. I started off with an 80 grit. And then I went up to a 120 grit. And then finally a 240 grit, going over all the edges to make them as smooth as possible. And I could also get in there in the circular parts to break the edges, make them nice and smooth, and then vacuum up any remaining sawdust. For the finish, I'm using boiled linseed oil. And this really brought out the grain nicely in the mahogany. And the same for the pine. And for one of the pine tea light holders, I wanted to stain it to change the colour, so I've got some wood dye here and give it a more of an oak appearance. So then I finished off the tea light holders with some furniture polish or furniture wax. And then I just buffed off the excess. Finally, I added some of these small round felt feet to the bottoms of the tea light holders, and that will just protect any surface from any scratches. Now all I need to do is add the tea lights. Okay, so that is about it for this video. I think they turned out pretty nice in the end. They'll make nice gifts. Christmas is coming up and they cost practically nothing to make, just the finish and the candles. So great if you're looking to do a project on a budget, and great if you can get your hands on some scrap wood, especially some nice hardwood such as these ones. I really like the grain pattern on these. As I say, I think they're mahogany, but I'm not sure what type of mahogany, so if you know exactly what this kind of wood is, please let me know in the comments section. So if you found this video useful, please remember to like and also consider subscribing for more DIY related videos. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.